bringing the propeller over to a test stand. Short notice, the guys are assisting us. Very cool. They have the coolest toys in aviation in here.
Could have been that, you know, all that Smeggy came down there.
388 hours on this since new. The magical manual feathering paddles. Well, I don't feel like it's smooth. Super smooth. Sounded like me a few days ago after Cracker Barrel.
That was about a cup and a half of oil that's in here.
Okay.
And it doesn't have paraffin to any great extent, or it never was gone to full feather.
So this is full feather.
So it went from rotation to full feather.
That's feather. That's low.
Give me the, oh, awesome. Put the air charge back in this.
The hose.
The hose.
14 psi, right?
Crawl around the other side.
14?
I'm just joking. 41 psi is what we had in it.
No, we're not doing that.
Because that was the first thing Hartzell said.
Wait till
You're overcoming me.
I'm not doing anything yet.
There you go. Got a lot of oil coming out. All right, down to daisy.
There you go.
So what are we simulating
So
now?
when governor pressure goes to this thing, it's going to shove these blades to low pitch. When you relieve governor pressure, it's going to go to some pitch other than low, depending
Okay.
on what she's selecting for cruise.
Exactly.
Okay? She's going to go, what's 27? Let's take off on this. 2650, 27, whatever.
Uh,
27 RPM.
27?
yeah.
So 27, when she selects 27, then you drop down to 25 square or 24 square.
24 square.
You're actually pulling back on the power first, then you're pulling back on the governor, and
Yeah.
the governor's sitting there, and it's...
And that
it's
all
fine.
happens fine.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all fine.
And if it didn't happen fine, it would manifest as a problem in cruise, because then it would start wandering.
No wonder.
Right.
She's stable.
Now, at a low RPM, when there's low pressure, particularly in the saddle bearings of the front of the transfer bearing
Yep.
in the front,
Yep.
it'll start dropping off RPM. When it drops off RPM, though, that's because the blades are getting coarser and coarser and coarser. If they get coarser, manifold pressure is going to go up.
I don't know if we see that rise in manifold pressure.
Okay, air me.
No problem.
Okay, now it just went to low pitch. Right? Now it's going to go back to feather. And there's no crunching of the bearings. There's no
Super smooth.
There's no problem. If an O-ring was the problem, it'd be filling
spraying.
this hub full of oil. And that hub is then going to spit oil out the blade. That's not happening. Hit it again.
No problem.
Right on.
That's butter.
Yeah.
Why do you think it followed the? Why do you think it followed the propeller?
Now again, more than happy to go farther, take the whole thing apart, and physically look at the bearings and everything. But
Yeah,
all we're going
let's
to
do
all we're going to do is put it right back together, give it back to you exactly like it is right now. That's what's
I
going
would
to
like, I
happen.
mean, we have to do that at this point.
Fine, not a problem.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think we're going to find a problem right now. Otherwise, I'd already found the problem. There's no crunching. There's no hesitation. There's no external friction on the bearings. You know, I don't have an answer for changing wings. We just did that on a Jetstream. The left wing won't balance on the right side. So they switched
really?
props. Oh, now they both balance. Really?
Huh.
Why is that?
I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. There's nothing in my 38, almost 39 years that are telling me that there's anything on this prop that I'm looking at that's out of the normal.
I understand.
Wow. Well, everybody expected when we start taking it apart, it's going to have too much blade friction, or too much. I mean, we know all the possible problems,
Yeah.
and one by one we eliminated them, starting from the top. So I don't see why swapping the props would have moved that. It's a mystery. We're going to take it apart. We're going to change all the seals. We're going to change the bearings. We're going to change the spring cup,
Yeah.
and
We're gonna change the spring too. Let's change the spring.
he wants to change the feather assist spring as well. So we'll change them all. But again, things like the feather assist spring would manifest itself as a problem in cruise. A weak spring is not going to hold pressure in cruise. It's not going to have anything to do with landing because the spring's not doing anything on landing.
Right.
Or I should say on approach to land. Final. On final, everything is a firewall forward. And as I explained to them, if the blades were getting coarser on the final, manifold pressure would drive up. Because the coarser the blades, the more manifold pressure there is.
So when you were flying a couple days ago, we didn't see pressure come up on the motors, did we?
Well, no, we had manifold pressure was set, and all we do is just bring the RPMs forward, and you could hear it not being synced anymore, and you could tell it was dragging behind. I mean, you could visibly hear that before we did cruise and you got them together, you could tell when you're synced, and when the minute you brought them forward, you could hear that it fell right behind Amelia and didn't catch up.
Now I'm gonna throw a.
Well, and it just started about 8 months ago?
Yeah, they've been having doing it for a while now.
Yeah, 8, 9 months. 10
Okay,
months,
so
8, 9
when,
months.
when was the last annual?
Well, like the last annual about
January.
sometime back.
About that far back?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, the only thing left is that during the annual, there's a possibility the low pitch stop moved a little bit.
Oh, you mean annual prop? That never touched me. That stuff. That's
Well, you have to pull the spinner to be able to do an annual.
Yeah.
So
My God.
So that low pitch stop is attached to the spinner. The spinner is attached to the low pitch stop. The only thing I can think of is that if there's a possibility, there's a degree or two difference between the left and the right.
Yeah.
Right? That means this side was
Holding.
a little bit too coarse, and on low manifold, in low power, it doesn't have enough to maintain the RPM. Although the blade, the pitch is already more coarse on that side. It's the only thing I can think of left. But
It followed the prop.
well, it followed the prop, but if the prop has 15 degrees and the other one's got 12, when you're at final at low power, it doesn't have enough
gotta
power
be
to
it.
keep 15 degrees up at the same RPM.
I'm buying that.
Know what I mean?
It's a manual setting.
Yeah, the hard stop here is on the low pitch stop. Right? The difference between here, the difference between
Yeah, that makes sense.
here and that rod is going to be the low pitch stop setting. If one is at 12 degrees, let's say, and the other's at 14 degrees, now you don't have apples and apples when you're on final.
That's
and
it.
If it doesn't have enough apples.
Well, the thing is, it started though. But you're right. It happened right around
Right
annual
around
time.
annual. Well, here's what happens
Oh my
sometimes in
God.
annual. And I don't know who did the annual. Did he do
He
the
did
annual?
it.
Okay, I don't know what happens, but sometimes what happens is the low pitch stop gets screwed up a little bit. And if it loosened at all, then it gets reset at a different one. And that's the only thing I can think of that would
I can
make
see
it go
that
from
happening.
side to side. But
That
but
was
he's
one
the
of my
working
things
with
that I
you.
helped on the annual is that part. But still.
Let's check the RAM paperwork when you get home, because you have the original RAM. .57?
5.57?
Yeah, 5.7.
5.3.
Okay, it's like
5.8.
right.
5.4.
Yeah, that split's okay. Run the other two.
Where's the other camera?
Five
that for you.
5.4.
Check it for you. I will. 5.4. 5.9 or 4.9. Hello. Give me the DO speed number. Hello, I need another one.
It's right around the
No,
middle.
you're allowed 5,
4.8.
like a 5 split.
4.8.
Yeah, you're allowed a 5 split. Here, go with this one.
Checking the prop de-ice continuity and performance.
What do you want, Mike? Part number?
I was just checking. It's generally somewhere between 4.5 and 6.
They put the ground on this one in the middle.
It can go anywhere you want on the bulkhead.
Right, it's DC. Duh. 4.8? Yeah. 4 Hector 1601-14.
4.9. You got one over there that's wrong. It's a 5 something. The rest of them are 4 something.
Check that one again.
Just kidding.
This is the one
I would
that
have more.
down to the bulkhead too.
Okay, ground. Five 7. 5.4. 5.4, 5.5.
You said it's only 3 or 4 between them.
So there's not a problem.
5.5.
Point. It's half an ohm
Yeah.
or less between them.
Well, Mike's going to bring us into the governor's shop. The governors have their own room and they get tested. Specialized units.
Quick.
And we get everything organized perfectly, labeled, serialized.
These pumps are what obviously powers the propeller. Propeller, like I said, is stupid. Doesn't do anything until oil pressure comes, and then it goes to the position it's supposed to go. So that's why I came to my mind on that low pitch setting. I think that's something we need to check on. So they need to be the same, and if they're the same, then I'm going to be satisfied that both props are, and then it's a mystery again. So as soon as you said, well, it switches sides, something's different. But it's not the functionality of the propeller as much as it is maybe something mechanically set.
The engine shop threw out something Friday. He said, check the oil plunger spring. Simple as a $35 oil plunger.
Mhm.
Sometimes you've seen those stick or get clogged
In
or
the engine?
wear. Yeah, on the engine side.
Yeah.
So we will, if this doesn't get rid of it, we'll try those
you know,
next two things.
if this doesn't do it, and you bring it here, and I say pitch settings are the same both sides, you're starting to look behind the props somewhere.
We swapped
anyway,
props, and the problem followed the prop.
Yeah.
So anyway, he can answer a couple of your questions if you want on the governors, and I'm going to see if I get something
Thank
done
you.
here.
Is this set up to run a pressure test or any sort of test with your big whomper here?
Yeah, I have it set up.
These are the prop governors. You can see your
Yeah.
control here. That's just engine oil, I guess. Some sort of fluid.
All we did was pull it completely apart, check everything, put it all back together again, and set it correctly at 15.3.
Everything got your nuts, the right nuts. Did we get the nuts for the other prop too? That's not
Well,
Okay.
there's metal locking nuts.
Any
It's
chance I
open.
can borrow your snap-on thing, torque them? Your cut tool, or do you use that
yeah.
10 times a day? Okay. So they're gonna let us borrow their little snap-on
That's
torque
nice.
adapter.
Yeah, ours is not going to be here
Yeah, we
until
ordered
next week.
some, so. And when you're greasing these hubs, you always want to open the opposite side and push the grease through. They say six pumps. A lot of people, well, some people try to grease it themselves and don't open up the other side, and you can over-grease it, over-service it.
Well, you're only supposed to put 2 ounces in each hole anyway.
They're letting us borrow this cool torque wrench adapter.
That's nice.
because it's just tight behind the
Yeah.
prop bolts putting it back on.
We're gonna have our own in a week or so.
Yeah. We ordered
should
some.
do it for you.
Now, does this need to be rebalanced or anything, or no? Okay. Okay. We have a vibration on the right side, and it's not a constant vibration. It goes gone, gone. Somebody was saying it was aerodynamic vibration, like maybe one of the surfaces isn't tight. And of course, none of the instructors, none of the pros feel it except me when especially when you put your head like you're going to sleep or something.
What's your airplane?
It's it's
your airplane. You're used to it.
Yeah, you
Nobody
put your
else
head up
sitting in it.
against the metal surface, and you can really feel that little vibration.
I don't know, because I don't sleep in the plane.
Yeah, but I knew that was coming.
Are you
Right?
normally flying it?
Yeah, usually I
10
fly.
pina coladas later, I fall asleep, and then I start feeling all these weird vibrations.
How do we get to the Bahamas this fast?
Alright, so the new mounting O-ring is already in the back of it. The same shims are here. It should be good to go.
And the strange thing is, we changed it from 13 to 15, roughly, plus or minus a little bit.
The turbocharger wouldn't matter if it was 13 or 15 because the turbocharger is going to make it go to RPM. My only concern is when you do a low power underneath the top, the turbo can hit you. Turbocharger.
Careful.
Dynamically balanced, so we're putting it back in the same place. And then working the spinner.
Spinner nuts in this one, or in another one? The spinner nuts.
I'm still amazed at how that got turned. If that was it.
Dave, did we have another container?
All right.
I know they all look like this, but I don't know why they're this.
What do we
Putting all new screws and all new washers on it. Some of the screws may have been a different length, but we'll use new to be sure.
all new?
To save our dynamic balancing of the propeller.
Excellent. All right, so we're good. Are we ready? Gonna go?
Go fly.
Let's go fly.
Get some airflow.
Oh boy. I don't know. Guess we'll find out soon.
Unless it's the other one that's you know, maybe it's supposed to be that. I don't know, man. I don't. You got me at the point now where I just fucking don't know. I throw in the towel going, I don't know what the fuck.
So I think it's something we're just gonna live with.
This is like, I don't know what the fuck to say about this.
And when we know the property.
Yeah, flying, you're flying.
Well,
And she can feel it. You
I can feel it. I can feel it in the yaw.
Yeah, it's just something we're gonna live with.
And then
No.